Hello everyone, this is Dr. Madhulika Gupta and welcome back to another session of Economic Analysis for Business Decisions. Today in this video, we'll be studying about price determination under different markets like perfect competition, monopolistic competition, monopoly and oligopoly, right? One by one. So let's understand. I'll share my screen with you now, my presentation, and then we'll move ahead. So stay there and be focused. Keep your pen and paper in your hand and jot it down the important points as I go on teaching you. Okay, so let's begin. Yes. So pricing under various markets. First, let's understand what are different types of markets and what are its characteristics, right? So very first one is perfect competition. Now, a perfectly competitive market has like characteristics like there are many buyers and sellers in the market. Okay, the goods offered by these various sellers are largely the same. That means the commodity is homogeneous. Firms can freely enter and exit in the market. There is no transportation cost. There is perfect mobility of factors of production. And there is perfect knowledge of market to the buyers and sellers. This is perfect competition, right? In the real scenario, perfect competition never exists. So, because of these characteristics, the perfect competition has outcomes like the action of any single buyer or seller in the market have a negligible impact on the market price because there are lots of buyers and sellers, right? So each buyer and seller takes the market price as given. Whatever is prevailing, they sell in that, and whatever is prevailing, buyers buy in that price. There is no bargaining, right? This is perfect competition. So this perfect competition is superficial; it never exists. And now, what is monopoly? You have heard of monopoly a lot of times. Now, pure monopoly exists when a single firm, is a sole producer of a product for which there are no close substitutes. Like there is single seller characteristics, like there is single seller, that is a one producer of a specific product. There are no close substitutes, no reasonable alternative products are available. Now, these monopoly firms are price makers. Now, the firm exercises considerable control over price because it is responsible for the quantity supplied. He has the monopoly power. He can control the price, right? Because he is having power to supply, and people don't have any choices. They have to buy. So there's totally blocked entry. There is no competitors because of economic, technological, or legal obstacles, whatever. So there is entry is blocked by like any other buyer, any other sellers can't enter the market. So therefore, the monopoly is there; it exists. What are the characteristics of monopoly? The next is monopolistic competition. Now, monopolistic competition, it is a form of imperfect competition where many competing producers sell products that are differentiated from one another. That is, the products are substitutes, but with differences such as branding are not exactly alike, right? Like there are so many oil available in the market, cooking oil available in the market. So monopolistic competition is realistic market. We are living in monopolistic competition. So in this monopolistic competition, firms can behave like monopolies in the short run, including using market power to generate profit. But in the long run, other firms start enter the market, and benefits of differentiation decrease with competition. So the market becomes more like perfect, where firms cannot gain economic profit. So it's a mixture of monopoly and perfect competition, that is monopolistic competition, and that sounds realistic, right? So first we'll understand the price determination under monopolistic competition. Uh, now, examples of industries with market structures similar to monopolistic competition include restaurants, like cereals available in the clothing, shoes, and service industries in large cities. So these are the examples of monopolistic competition. Now, the founding father of the theory of monopolistic competition was Edward Hastings Chamberlain in his pioneering book on the subject theory of monopolistic competition way back in 1933. So, The example is like in US, in many US markets, producers practice product differentiation, right? By altering the physical composition, using special packaging, or simply claiming to have superior products based on brand images in advertising, like toothpaste, etc. Are the examples of shampoos. They are the best examples of differentiated products. Like हमारे शैम्पू में ये है, हमारे साबुन में ये है, इसमें इस डव से स्किन सॉफ्ट हो जाएगी, there is no pH, whatever. So they differentiate their soap with others. They differentiate shampoo with others. इसमें सिर्फ इसमें dandruff नहीं होगा, इसमें बाल नहीं झड़ेंगे, इसमें नए बाल आएंगे. So they differentiate and attract the customers. Although everybody is selling shampoo, but differentiated. Understood? So this is how the products get differentiated. Now, what the major characteristic of monopolistic competition? We'll understand them one by one. Now, as I told you, there is product differentiation. That is, the difference are in qualities and circumstances such as type, style, quality, reputation of the company, appearance of the product, and location that tend to distinguish goods, right? Like, for example, the function of motor vehicles is basically the same to get from point X to point Y in reasonable comfort and safety, right? Yet there are many different types of motor vehicles, motor scooters, motorcycles, trucks, car available, right? They are substitutes to each other, but they are different. There is a differentiation, right? Another is many firms, right? There are many firms in monopolistic competition product group, and many firms on the sidelines prepared to enter the market. The product group is the collection of similar products. When I say the fact that there are many firms gives each monopolistic competitor firm the freedom to set prices without engaging in strategic decision making. The requirements assures that each firm actions have a negligible impact on the market, right? The next is free entry and exit. Like in the long run, there is free entry and exit for the firms. There are numerous firms awaiting to enter a market, each with its own unique product or in pursuit of positive profits. Like, and any firm unable to cover its cost can leave the market if they are going the loss. So without incurring liquidation cost. So this assumption implies that there are no startup cost and no exit cost. There is nothing. You can free entry and free exit. The next is independent decision making. Now, each MC firm independently sets the terms of exchange for its products because there is differentiation in the product. They say we are selling it in a higher price, a little higher price because we have this good quality product, we have add-ons. So the firm gives no consideration to what effect decision may have on the competitors. So in other words, each firm feels free to set prices as if it were a monopoly rather than an oligopoly. Okay, oligopoly has few sellers that we'll see in future slides. The next is perfect information. Now, buyers know exactly what goods are being offered, where the goods are being sold, all differentiating characters of the goods prices. Every knowledge is there is full information, full knowledge. Whether a firm is making profit or loss, if so, how much, they know everything. So when they enter, they are prepared. So these are the characteristics of monopolistic competition. Now, next is oligopoly. Now, what is oligopoly? A market dominated by a small number of sellers, participants who are able to collectively exert control over supply of market prices. That means there is a group of number of sellers, 4, 5. They form their cartel and then they fix the price, and that price is given to the buyers. That is oligopoly, right? Mainly the leader, the first who entered the market is the leader who has the highest share. He decides the price and other follows. We'll see in the future when we understand price determination. So the features are there are small numbers of sellers and producers. There is interdependence on each other because there are 3, 4 sellers. Because if one increases the price, the other will increase. The other, there is cutthroat competition. So they have to decide price coming together, forming a cartel. There is very important of advertising and selling cost, and there are barriers to entry in this type of a market because they form a cartel. They don't allow others to enter, right? So this is about overall view about different markets. I've told you perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, and oligopoly. Now we're going to study in future slides how the price is determined under the different market life. Okay, so let's start with perfect competition. Okay, so buyers and sellers in competitive market are said to be price takers, right? So equilibrium price for the industry is fixed through interaction of total demand and total supply curves by the industry as a whole. So buyers and sellers must accept the price determined by the market. They don't have a choice, right? हमने characteristics में देखा था ये, right? The firm is said to be in equilibrium when it maximizes its profit. The output which gives maximum profit to the firm is called equilibrium output. Now we have to find out what is equilibrium output. So in the equilibrium state, the firm has no incentive either to increase or decrease the output. That is the perfect output, and then the price is determined at that ideal output. Let's understand it with the help of a table and a graph. Okay, in front of you, there's a table, price, demand, and supply. Now, as we move on, just to understand the table, law of demand and law of supply we already studied. As the price rises, demand falls, and supply increases, right? Price and demand have inverse relationship. Price and supply has direct relationship. You all remember? So that is the वही definitions लेके आगे ये table है. राइट अब इस टेबल को अगर हम ध्यान से देखेंगे सो और इसको प्लॉट करेंगे इफ विल प्लॉट दीज पॉइंट्स ऑन द ग्राफ दिस इज हाउ इट लुक्स नाउ O is not visible there. O is in the corner. So OP is the equilibrium price. Why? And OQ is the equilibrium quantity. Why? Because X and this demand curve and supply curve are cutting at that point E. So firms cannot individually increase. Why? Fear of losing customers or decrease the price because they do not have any incentive for lowering the price. They will go in the loss. So that E is equilibrium, that the point of equilibrium E, and therefore OP is the equilibrium price and OQ is the equilibrium quantity. So to you produce OQ, you gain profit. Okay. Now let's understand this. Total revenue of a firm is the selling price. We know TR is equal to price into quantity, right? So this is how you get total revenue, price into quantity. Now, average revenue tells us how much revenue a firm receives for a typical unit sold. So, in perfect competition, average revenue equals the price of the goods. Remember this, in perfect competition, average revenue is equal to the price of a good. Okay, remember this. Now, how do you calculate the average revenue? Average means total revenue divided by quantity. Total revenue means price into quantity. QQ gets cut. So, average revenue is equal to price. This is how we have proved. Hence proved, average revenue is equal to price in perfect competition. Okay, remember this, very important. क्योंकि if अगर आपको MCQ वगैरह रहेंगे तो आपको ये बहुत important रहेगा. आपको ऐसा रहेगा in perfect competition revenue is equal to dash. So you should know average revenue is equal to price. Okay. So revenue, let's understand further. So marginal revenue is what? Is a change in total revenue. We have studied marginal cost. Same goes here or marginal. So it is a change in total revenue divided by change in quantity. So for competitive firms, marginal revenue equals the price of the good. So the additional revenue resulting from the sale of an additional unit of the output is called marginal revenue. The same was for marginal cost. So we logic apply kiya hai. So the additional revenue resulting from the sale of an additional unit of output is marginal revenue. I hope you can relate. So average revenue bhi dekh liya humne kya hai and marginal revenue bhi dekh liya humne kya hai. Yeah. So let's understand total revenue, average revenue and marginal revenue. So the table has quantity, price, total revenue, average revenue and marginal revenue. Formulas दिया है TR is equal to P into Q, average revenue is equal to TR divided by Q and marginal revenue is equal to change in TR upon change in quantity. So thus what is proved from this that in perfectly competitive market AR is equal to MR is equal to price. Okay. Now, profit maximization for the competitive firms. Conditions for short-term equilibrium. What are the conditions for short-term equilibrium? That understand. So, very first condition is MR is equal to MC. That is the first condition. Why? If MR is greater than MC, increase quantity and gain by scale of additional units. If marginal revenue is less than marginal cost, decrease Q since additional units adds to the cost. The very first condition is MR should be equal to MC. Now the MC curve should cut the MR curve from below. MC should have positive slope. That is the second condition for the equilibrium. What is the first condition? MR is equal to MC. Second is MC curve should cut the MR curve from below. That is MC should have positive slope. Now let's understand with the help of this graph. So the first one we have already studied, equilibrium OP, OQ. Now we have plotted AR, MR and MC, right? So AR is equal to MR is equal to price and MC curve cuts the MR curve from below. So this is how it looks like. Okay, just observe that graph carefully as I read for you. So the firm of perfectly competitive industry adopt OP price as given and consider P line as demand AR demand curve, which is perfectly elastic at P. Okay, so as all the units are priced at same level, MR is the horizontal line equal to AR line. Can you see? MR is horizontal line. So MC curve is cutting MR curve from below at point R, right? So it is a positive slope. It's going up. So hence R is the point of equilibrium and OQ2 is the equilibrium level of output. What the conditions you remember? The conditions. MR should be equal to MC. See, MR is equal to MC where it is cutting the MR curve, the horizontal line at point R, and it is cutting from below. At T, it is cutting from up. So T can't be the point of equilibrium because only one condition is fulfilled there, that is MR is equal to MC. But second condition is fulfilled at point R, that is MC curve is cutting MR curve from below and it is going above the positive slope of the graph. Basically, R is the equilibrium point. Understood? So this is how the price determined in short run in the perfect competition. Now let's understand how is the price determined in long run in perfect competition. Okay, so for long run equilibrium as well as the equality of MR and MC is necessary. So there also the condition exists that MR should be equal to MC. Okay, so in the long run, firms are in equilibrium when they have adjusted their plant. Okay, so as to produce at the minimum point of the LAC curve. We have studied LAC curve. Remember the envelope, lot of SAC curves, short run average cost curves, and there is a big LAC curve enveloping all the short run curves. So this is how the last concept helps you here also. So when I say LAC curve, you should remember and in your mind the envelope of all the curve should come into your mind. The LAC curve we have studied in last unit. So these are the conditions. So under for long run equilibrium as well, MR and MC should be equal. So under perfect competition, since AR is equal to MR, in equilibrium also MR is equal to AR. So MR is equal to MC, but AR is equal to MR. Therefore, AR is equal to MC. This is how we prove it. Okay, so that is MC is equal to price. Right? This is what we have come to the conclusion. Now, in the long run, price must be equal to AC as well. So price is equal to AC. Why? Because a price higher than AC, AC would mean supernormal profits, as normal profits are included in AC already. So in this case, new firms will be attracted in the industry, and this would lead to fall in price and an upward shift of cost curves due to increase of the cost of factors of production as industry expands. So similarly, if the firm makes losses, that is price is less than average cost, they will leave the industry in the long run. This will raise the price and cost may fall as the industry contracts. So thus, in the long run, the equality of price and AC becomes a necessary condition for equilibrium. Because as in the long run, the number of firms which remain in the industry will be just enough to produce the output which can be sold at the market only at normal price. Nobody can earn abnormal profits, right? So the conditions, what are the conditions then? Price, that is AR, is equal to MR is equal to AC is equal to MC. This is the condition. So when all the firms are earning normal profits, that is only all the firms are in equilibrium. When there is no further entry or exit from the market, the industry has set to attain long run equilibrium. Right? Let's understand this with the help of a graph. Now you can see a graph in front of you. The figure shows that in the long run, AR is equal to MR is equal to long run average cost curve and long run marginal cost curve at point E1. So at the since E1 is the minimum point of LAC curve, right? Remember, LAC curve, it cuts on the minimum point, and that is equilibrium. The same rule. The firm produces equilibrium on output at OM. Can you see? At the minimum optimum cost. Therefore, E1 is the point of equilibrium. Now the firm producing output at the minimum, that is optimum cost, is called an optimum firm. All the firms in perfect competition in the long run are optimum firms having optimum size, and now these firms charge minimum possible price which just covers their marginal cost. Understand? So this is how long run average cost curve equilibrium point we have seen, right? Now, thus, in the long run, what happens in perfect competition? The market mechanism heads to an optimal allocation of resources, right? So, let's understand the optimality is shown by the following conditions. Just observe as I read for you. The output is produced at minimum feasible cost. Consumers pay the minimum possible price. It just covers the marginal cost. That is, MR is equal to AR. AR means price. Plants are used at full capacity in the long run so that there is no wastage of resources. So MC is equal to AC. Okay. Firms only earn normal profits. So AC is equal to AR, and firms maximize profits. That is MC is equal to MR. But the level of profit will be just normal. So the condition is what? AR is equal to MR is equal to AC is equal to MC. That is point of equilibrium. Right? This is our perfect competition. Now let's understand the price determination under monopoly. You know monopoly, what is monopoly? Remember, pure monopoly exists when a single firm is a sole producer of the product and for which there is no close substitute. And the characteristics were like single seller, no substitutes, they are the price maker, there is a blocked entry. Okay, they have full domination over the market, right? So since the monopolistic firm is assumed to be the only producer of a particular product, its demand curve is identical with the market demand curve for the product, right? So the demand curve in the monopoly is downward sloping, is down sloping, and this implies that the monopolist cannot sell more without lowering the price. Your EP is less than 1. That is, demand is literally less elastic. So as the seller charges single price for all units he sells, AR per unit is identical with price. That is, AR is equal to price again here. Thus, the market demand is the AR for the monopolist. Okay. So a firm under monopoly faces a downward sloping demand curve or average revenue curve. Further, in monopoly, like since average revenue falls as more units of output are sold, the marginal revenue is less than the average revenue. In simple words, under monopoly, the MR curve lies below the AR curve, right? Now let's understand. So the equilibrium level of monopoly is that level of output in which marginal revenue equals marginal cost. MR is equal to MC. And the producer will produce as long as marginal revenue exceeds the marginal cost. At the point where MR is equal to MC, the profit will be maximum. And beyond this point, the producer will stop producing, right? Now, how do you determine a price? Price exceeds marginal revenue. Marginal revenue is less than price because monopolist must lower price to boost sales. The relationship between AR and MR of a monopoly firm can be stated as follows. Like AR and MR are both negative sloped curves, downward sloping. AR cannot be 0, but MR can be 0 and even negative. Understand with the help of a table. In front of you, there's a table. There is quantity sold, that is AR is equal to price, is TR, AR into Q, and it is MR, change in total revenue, right? Just observe the table. And when we plot the graph, it looks like this. They are downward sloping. The demand curve and the MR curve, they are sloping downwards, right? So a monopolist has to determine not only output but also price of for his goods. Since he faces a downward sloping demand curve, if he raises price of his product, his demand will go down and vice versa. So he will try to reach that level of output at which profits are maximum, and he will try to attain the equilibrium level of output, right? So how do you determine the price? What are the conditions? The conditions are, again, MR is equal to MC, and MC curve should cut the MR curve from below. MC should have positive slope, right? Similar with profit competition. Okay, so you can just relate and remember. Now, if you draw a curve again, if you draw MC curve, so how it shows? Now see, the marginal revenue is always less than price when the demand curve slopes downward. Profit is maximized where MR is equal to MC. That is where MR curve is MC curve is cutting MR curve from below. So that is at point E. So the figure shows that MC curve cuts MR curve from below at point E. That means at E, equilibrium price is OP and equilibrium output is OQ. So in order to know whether the monopolist is making profit or loss in the short run, we need to introduce average total cost curves. So the following figure shows how the firm makes profit in short run. So this is how, if we draw average revenue curve, marginal revenue, marginal cost and average cost curves together. So just observe the shaded area is the profit. How? I'll tell you. Now, look at the figure. It shows that MC curve cuts MR curve from below. That is at point E. That means E, equilibrium price, is OP and equilibrium quantity is OQ. इतना हमने पढ़ लिया था. Now, the cost per unit AC is BQ. You see the straight line. Therefore, profit per unit is AB. And total profit is ABCP. The shaded area is the total profit for monopolist, right, in the short run. Now, let's understand in the long run how it goes. So long run is a period long enough to allow the monopolist to adjust his plant size or use his existing plant at any level that maximizes his profit. So in absence of competition, the monopolist need to not produce at suboptimal scale also. In other words, he can stop at any place where his profits are maximum, right? Because he is the only producer. So again, the conditions are MR is equal to MC and MC curve should cut the MR curve from below. So MC should have a positive slope. Same conditions. So let's understand in the long run, it's the same graph, but there is long run marginal cost curve, long run average cost curve, LL gets added. And D is more flatter, that is AR curve is more flatter than in the short run. So see, look at the figure. The figure shows that MC curve cuts MR curve from below at point E. That means the E is the point of equilibrium and optimum equilibrium price is OP1 and equilibrium output is OQ1. So at OQ1, the cost per unit is AC, that is AC is BQ1. Can you see? And therefore, the profit per unit is AB and the total profit is ABCP1. Okay. The graph is same. Okay. Expression is also same. So you should all compare करके study करने का कि कैसे क्या बताना है. यहाँ पे चेंज क्या हुआ कि यहाँ पे फ्लैटर रेट दिखाना है थोड़ा AR का और वहाँ पे LMC और LAC लिखना है, राइट? बाकी एक्सप्लेनेशन तो वही है, वही आपको रिपीट करना है, शॉर्ट रन वाला ही, राइट? सो now by adjusting supply fully to the demand, the monopoly firm will attain equilibrium at an output where MR curve equals LMC curve, right? We're talking about long run, इसलिए हम LMC बोलेंगे. Thus, like even for the long run period equilibrium, the equality of MR and MC is necessary condition, and it is for the short run equilibrium as well. So there are two reasons for making the difference between short and long run. The need to consider long period marginal cost LMC for the period long period equilibrium, and the fact that the long period AR curve may be flatter than the short period AR curve. Differentiation between short and long. ये दो difference है main. You have to use long run, long LMC, LL, and you have to show AR curve more flatter. Okay. The last point is price discrimination in oligopoly. Now, how the price is discriminated. Now, price discrimination may be personal, local, or according to trade or use. Now, when I say personal, when we say personal, it is personal when different prices are charged for different persons. And when we say local, it is local when the price varies according to locality. Can you relate? आप अगर चिंचवड़ में जाओगे वही वही आप एप्पल खरीदोगे, और आप विमान नगर जाओगे वही एप्पल खरीदोगे. डिफरेंस रहता है प्राइस में लोकेलिटी के हिसाब से, कौन लोग रहते हैं, क्या रहते हैं, राइट? व्हाट लेवल ऑफ पीपल स्टे देयर, उनकी इकोनॉमिक कंडीशन कैसी है. And according to trade or use means it is according to the trade or use when different prices are charged for different uses to which the commodity is put. For example, electricity is supplied at cheaper rates for domestic than for commercial purposes. So this is how they are differentiated. Different price for different people, different price in different locality, and different prices according to use. Okay, so some monopolists use product differentiation for price discrimination by means of special labels, wrappers, packing, etc. For example, the coffee manufacturers discriminate prices of the same fragrance by packing it with different labels or brands. So this is how they can differentiate. Okay. Now there are three different degrees of price discrimination. Let's understand them one by one. There is first degree, second degree, and third degree. Now, what is first degree price discrimination? It refers to a situation where the monopolist charges a different price for different units of output according to the willingness to pay of the customer. आप कितना willing पे कर रहा है वो आपको bargain करने देता है, कहाँ तक आपको खींच सकता है वो आपको खींचता है, right? Second degree it refers to a situation where the monopolist charges different prices for different sets of units of the same product. एक लोगे इतना, आप दो लोगे तो कम में होगा, तीन लोगे तो buy one at rupees 1000, buy two at rupees 950, buy three at rupees 800, मतलब पर. तो आप मॉल में जाते हो तो समझ में आएगा आपको व्हाट इज सेकंड डिग्री, है ना? एक टी शर्ट लोगे तो एक टी शर्ट लोगे सिर्फ एक तो 1000 का एक पड़ेगा, अगर तीन टी शर्ट लोगे तो आपको 800 का एक पड़ेगा, ऐसा होता है ना? सो दैट इज सेकंड डिग्री. Now, what is third degree is when the monopolist firm divides the markets for its product into two or more markets, groups of buyers or segments, and charges different prices in each market. ओके, वही बंदा है एप्पल वो बेच रहा है चिंचवड़ में तो वो 100 रुपए किलो बेच रहा है, वही बंदा जाके एप्पल उसने दुकान लगाया पाकड़ में वो उसको 150 में बेच रहा है, थोड़ा और आगे लगा दिया उधर बानेर साइड में उसको 200 किलो में बेच रहा है. तो दिस इज थर्ड डिग्री प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन, right? This is how the sellers discriminate. Okay, and how do you measure a monopoly power? Now, the extent of the power of the monopolist is indicated by the extent of the influence he exercises on price and the output, right? So, the power of monopoly refers to the amount of discretion which a monopolist possesses from competitive behavior. Now, when this is said, it should be positive, like to measure the monopoly power, and its power should be measured in such a way that the procedure would be true for all monopolists. Okay, so there are three ways. The number one is price and marginal cost. Now, it has been mentioned that the extent of monopoly power is indicative to the extent of the departure of the monopolist from the competitive setup. So, under monopoly, the AR curve slopes downward to the right, and the MR curve is always below the AR curve, right? Because the firm attains equilibrium at the point where MR is equal to MC, and MC is always less than AR. Right? So this is how it is measured with the help of price. Now, Lerner index, what is that? A means of measuring a firm's monopoly power that takes the markup of price over marginal cost expressed as a percentage of the product's price. What is Lerner's index? Is equal to P minus MC divided by P. Now, the Lerner index varies between 0 and 1. Now, the larger the Lerner index value, the greater a firm's monopoly power, it is said. Therefore, the greater the difference between marginal cost and price, the greater is the monopoly power, and vice versa. Therefore, the difference between marginal cost and price measures the degree of monopoly power. Understood? So, the greater the difference, more the power. Okay. The next is profits, of course. So, monopoly power can also be measured by taking profits into account. And like under monopoly, profits are always supernormal. So monopoly power can be measured by taking the supernormal profits as an index. Therefore, the size of supernormal profits or abnormal profits under conditions of monopoly is itself a measure of monopoly power. Like, in other words, the larger the supernormal profits, the greater the power of the monopolist. So this is how the monopoly power is measured. Right now, this ends our this particular session. So in this session, we have understood the determination of price in the two markets, that is perfect competition and monopoly. Okay, very important questions, very important chapter. In the next video, we'll study about monopolist price determination under monopolistic competition and price determination under oligopoly market. Okay, so wait for the next video. It's very interesting. Go through this video again and again and just observe and listen to what I'm trying to say. You understand. It's a little difficult in the first time to understand. It's quite normal. But if you will watch this video again, you will understand more better way. So I believe that when we're recording videos for you, it is a plus point, because when we take lectures in the class, it's only a one time. But now these videos are recorded. You can watch them as many times as you want, repeat them, and understand it again and again. And if still there's a problem, I'm always there for a help. Okay, so see you all in the next video. Keep on watching, keep on studying. Take care. Thank you.